It's like having the keys to the kingdom, you know? When I was a kid, I was in a gifted and talented education program. And I said to my third grade teacher, I said, I'm scared of the dark. So she goes, okay, class, I want you to write a story, and the best story will win this flashlight. So I wrote a story about a magic flashlight. It's a pretty cool flashlight. I'm 42 years old, and I'm like, my dad has in his garage a magic flashlight. He said, and a lot of people told a bunch of lies and took my son's guns, So he says, I give him a magic flashlight. It says police on it. It says, it doubles as a magic flashlight and a taser. I was like, that's pretty cool, Dad. Well, that's the kind of smart aleck my dad is. So I want to teach you a little bit about the Kirk Family Bible. Most people see this dark cover and they're like, ooh, Well, if you're knock, like the never-ending story, a kid's laying on the rug over there. He's got his little sheet and his blanket, and he's got a little, flashlight so he can read the book. It says, if you'd knock, it would be open. It's like the truckers. They bring the supplies to these new communities while they're building new resources in towns and rebuilding, America the beautiful. And there's a song, they used to play in the mountains when I was in South Carolina. They said, where are you headed? I says, I'm headed up to Tennessee, where my grandparents used to live. They used to play stories from the truckers, the Christmas stories and good tidings, and goodwill and good deeds they did, little trucker stories, on the radio around Christmas time. I used to love that. I'd sit at my grandparents' house and they'd read me bedtime stories and tell me to say my prayers and tell me about the 10 Commandments. And I could only think, the 18 wheels on a truck. It's like A10, A10 wheelers, It's like, those 10 Commandment wheelers, And it's like, I think about the, Captain Planet. We got Captain America setting an example for, like, the world. And then we got Captain Planet, showing us how to fix the planet, It's a big continent, Captain Planet, like the South American hero, And it's like, then you got to remember that it's written out of the darkness and into the light. You see? My mom, she kept every flower my dad ever bought her. It's my grandmother probably did the same thing. There's a lot of wisdom in here. And sometimes I just like to grab the pages and just, see what I can find, Sometimes I just flip it open and look. You see? For those first kings, the nation of kings, United States of America, It's one kings, you see? One nation educators, kings, And I think, the 45th president, he says, man, we got to teach the people how to be we the people again. And I says, maybe the presidents could work together. So he says, maybe. And then we get a new president for the next term instead of the same president for 2 terms. I think the presidents wanted to set an example that you don't need to be president twice in a row to make America great again. You just need to learn how to work together. So I look at that and I think of my mom, and she's more like St. Judy to me, And I look at the 20, She said, hey, you remember this location, okay? Here's a $20 bill for you to remember. And I was like, okay, 1 Kings 20, it's Judah. You see, Judah and Israel. You see, Israel. You see, we're many. As the sand which is by the sea, and multitude, eating and drinking and making merry, making happy people. You see, like the United States Navy, a new international version, for the pursuit of happiness, just like the Declaration of Independence and the United States Constitution. See, I tell you, this Kirk Family Bible is pretty amazing, and the Bible is an adventure, you know. And we like to say that America is a miracle for a promised land, where when we say promises made, our promises kept.